ॐ दक्षिणास्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशव वामन कृष्ण पाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। We are now going through the most important verses of the second chapter and also the most important verses of Karma Yoga. In the entire Bhagavad Gita, I think these are the few verses which are talking about the very essence of Bhagavad Gita, and Bhagwan Krishna has described and detailed these verses in such a deep and detailed manner that if we have understood these verses, if we have seen the vision of these verses, the vision of Lord Krishna, then Karma Yoga is not at all difficult for us to understand. And in the last session, we saw the 47th verse in quite a great detail. So just to summarize a brief summary of the 47th verse, it said, Karmani eva adhikarahate ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala hetur bhuhu mate sangostu akarmani. I think this is one of the most important verses of Bhagavad Gita and the most misinterpreted verses of Bhagavad Gita. As I have told in the last session itself, many people interpret it as don't expect any result, do your actions. But that is not what Krishna is telling Arjuna here. There is nothing wrong in expecting a result. And without having any kind of a result in view, without having any prayojanam in view, it is said that prayojanam anuddishya mandaha api na pravartate. Mandopi na pravartate. That means even a person with a deficient intellect also will not really go in for something if he doesn't see any purpose in doing such a thing. Therefore, if Krishna has to tell Arjuna, don't expect anything and fight this war, that is not correct. Even Krishna has expectations that Arjuna has to fight this war. Krishna also has expectations that there should be re-establishment of dharma. Krishna also has the expectation and desire that Arjuna should understand what he is telling him, and then Arjuna should ultimately, get that shreyas which he wants. So expectations are not what are to be denied. But what Krishna is telling here is doing the karma, planning the karma, executing the karma is that in which you have an adhikara. Adhikara, what is the meaning of adhikara? It means you have a choice, you have a control, you have a free will, and in executing an action. What is this execution of an action? I can do a particular action, kartum va, akartum va, anyata kartum va, shakyam. Any action that I want to do, I can do it in this particular way or that particular way. If I plan to do it, I can even plan not to do that action at all. So I have the free will in doing an action, executing it in different ways, the way I want. And second, thirdly, I need not do it at all. I may find that it's not worth doing that. I may not do it at all. I may start doing it and then I may stop it also. So I have various ways of executing an action. But the thing is, I have to understand that my intellect is limited, my knowledge is limited, my power is limited. Therefore, in a given situation, whatever I have to do, it is limited. Therefore, I do not have any control over the results of this action. What is the result or the phalam of an action? The processed karma, the karma that I execute, gets processed by Bhagavan, by Ishvara, who is actually the karma phala data. And according to laws of Ishvara, especially the laws of karma, the laws of dharma, my action, whichever I have executed, is processed, and what I get back, the processed karma that I have executed, is the karma phala. And if my power and knowledge while executing the karma itself is limited, how can I be sure that I will get the phalam that I want? So what Krishna says here is, no problem, desire for a phala, expect a phala, do your action to the best of your ability. But may you understand that finally, when you get that karma phala, it may not be exactly what you want. As I explained in the last session, it can be exactly what I want, more than what I wanted, less than what I wanted, something totally unexpected, or something exactly opposite to what I was wanting to get out of this action. Therefore, hey Arjuna, do not become the karma phala hetu, he says. Ma karma phala hetur buhu. Don't become the hetu or the cause or the reason for karma phala, because you can never be the reason for karma phala. There are hundreds of variables. There are hundreds of things that are going to process your karma and bring it back to you as karma phala. And therefore, you cannot be the author of the results of your action. You have a choice. You are the author of only what you can execute as an action. What comes back to you is not at all in your power. That means you are only a contributor to the karma phala, not a controller of karma phala. Your action, your karma only contributes to the final result, but it does not control the final result. And Arjuna, how are you supposed to do this action then? Understanding fully well that I am limited, my power and knowledge are limited, and in this particular context, at this time, I am doing this particular action to the best of my ability, taking all possible considerations and offering this action to you, Hey Bhagwan Ishvara. And when I get the result, whatever may be the result that I get, I will accept it happily, gladly, without judging it, without any kind of a remorse or regret. I will accept it happily as your prasada. So he says there, Ma karma phala heturbu, mate sangostu akarmani. Just because you don't have control over the phalam of your karma, may not, be, inclined not to do the action at all. That is not the way to go about. You have to do the action that you're supposed to do. You have to do your swadharma. You have to follow your swakarma. Do it, but with an attitude of Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, and then accept the results with Ishvara Prasada Buddhi. And this is the very crux, the very detailed explanation of what karma yoga is. And it is so clearly explained by Lord Krishna that there should be absolutely no point of any kind of a conflict or misunderstanding in this. Now, in the next few verses, in the next 2 or 3 verses, Bhagwan Krishna is going to define what is Karma Yoga. What is the definition of Karma Yoga? The previous verse, the 47th verse, only describe how to execute an action, whatever may be the action. It could be a Laukika, Vyavaharika action, it could be a Vaidika action, whatever it may be, how to execute it and how to free yourself from the burden of your own action and how to free yourself from the burden of the karma phala also. What is the burden here? Am I doing this right? Am I doing this correctly? Is this is my karma? When I offer my karma to the Lord, I no longer have an ahankara in it as I am the doer, and I don't have the mamakara in it as this is my karma. And when I get the results, I again don't have the ahankara or mamakara in the karma phala. Whatever may be the result, I take it as God's or Lord's prasada. Now, what is the definition now? The 48th verse and the 50th verse, 48th verse and the 50th verses are actually the definitions of Karma Yoga. So, what we'll do now is we'll take the 48th and 50th verses together so that we see the definition completely, and then we will go to the 49th verse after the 50th verse. So, what does the 48th verse say now? Partly it defines Karma Yoga. Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. So he says, Hey Arjuna, yogastaha kuru karmani. May you do all your actions, all the actions, may you do abiding in this attitude of Karma Yoga. Yogasthaha. May you abide in Karma Yoga. What is the meaning of Karma Yoga? The attitude of Karma Yoga. There's nothing called as a solidly as a Karma Yoga which you can see. It is the attitude with which you perform the karma, the attitude with which you receive the karma phala is called as Karma Yoga. So, Arjuna, may you abide yogasthaha, yoge sthitaha, karma yoge sthitaha. May you be abiding in the attitude of karma when you do any karma that you are doing. And then sangam tyaktva dhananjaya. Hey Dhananjaya, when you are yogastha, karma yogastha, when you are doing your actions, there is no sangha with the action. What do we mean by Sangha? Undue entanglement, undue attachment to the karma as I am doing the karma, the kartrutvam in the karma, the ahankara in the karma, that is one Sangam. And the result that I have to get this result. This is what I'm doing this karma for. So undue entanglement and attachment with the phalam of what I have to get and then being absolutely entangled with that karma phala. This is what is called as the Sangam. Undue Sangha or undue attachment, entanglement with ahankara and mamakara towards the karma that I execute and the results that I am going to get. Now he says, when you are yogastaha, when you do your karma in with the attitude of karma yoga, then you automatically give up the sangha. Why? Ragadveshas are diluted. This undue entanglement and attachment, ahankara, mamakara with the karma and the karma phala automatically is diluted. Therefore, Arjuna, sangam tyaktva. Now, sangam tyaktva, actually, you need not go out of your way to give up the attachment to the karma. The very attitude of karma yoga of surrendering my action or giving my action or surrendering or arpanam of my action to Ishvara itself is dilution of sangha, ragadvesha and sangha, entanglement. Receiving this phalam also as Ishvara prasada is also a part of sangam tyaktva. So when you do any karma, yogastaha, automatically your ragadveshas, ahankara, mamakara are diluted and Arjuna, you have me, the Lord, the Karma Paladata, as your partner, because you have surrendered your karma in me to me. Don't worry about the result. It is my job to take care of whatever result has to come to you. You don't have to worry about it. As a Karma Paladata, I know what is it that you deserve. What is it that your action deserves? I know that. Leave it to me. Sangam tyaktva dhananjaya. Dhananjaya is, Sambodhana to Arjuna, the one who has won lot of resources wherever he went, won kingdoms, won so many things. It indicates the paurusham, or the valor of Arjuna. So, He Dhananjaya, and Siddha Siddhyo Samo Bhutva. So, naturally, when you are yogastaha, you're doing your actions, whatever action you have to do, with the attitude of Karma Yoga, what happens? Siddhi, Asiddhi, Jaya, Apajaya, Labha, Nashta, all these polar opposites, will be having a samatvam, samo bhutva. You are not perturbed, you don't judge a particular thing as success or failure. I don't judge the karma phala as, this is siddhi, siddha, asiddhi and asiddhi. I have achieved my target, or I have not achieved my target. What came to me as phala is not the right thing. I don't judge this at all, whether it is siddhi or asiddhi, labha or nashta, jaya or apajaya. I do not have any judgment towards it, and I take it with equanimity, and I accept both without judging them, with a peaceful and equanimous mind. Siddha Siddhyo Samo Bhutva. Samatvam Yoga Uchate. Samatvam. The definition, one definition of Karma Yoga is Samatvam Yoga Uchate. And this Samatvam is what? With respect to the reception or receiving the Karma Phala. When I receive the Karma Phala, Samatvam, whatever may be the result, I am equanimous. My mind is equanimous. It is peaceful. Whatever comes, without any kind of being perturbed, I am able to take the karma phala. Samatvam yoga uchyate. The first definition is samatvam, the sameness, the equanimity of accepting the karma phala without any judgment. This is samatvam yoga uchyate. First definition. Then the second part of the definition is with regard to the karma itself. The first definition in the 48th verse was with respect to the acceptance of the karma phala with equanimity. One definition, samatvam. Now the second definition is yogaha karmasu kaushalam. This is with regard to the action or the karma that I'm executing, and it gives this definition in the 50th verse. बुद्धियुक्तो जहातीह उभे सुकृत दुष्कृते तस्माद् योगाय युज्यस्व योगः कर्मसु कौशलम. Karmasu kaushalam, that is dexterity or skillfulness in the action that I do. What is the meaning of skillfulness or dexterity in the action that I do? In a given circumstance, with the given resources, with given knowledge, with the given power, with the given free will, to the best of my ability, I execute this action. And here, the action is executed with the attitude of reverence. Reverence to Ishvara. I bring in Ishvara here, and I offer my actions to Ishvara. Karmasu Kaushalam has also been misinterpreted by many people. They say it is skill or dexterity in performing an action. Now, let me tell you that there are so many people who are very skillful and they are very dexterous in their actions. But does that make them a karma yogi? No. There are pickpockets who are extremely skillful in their craft. There are thieves who are extremely skillful and dexterous in their craft. But then, is it, and just even take our Duryodhana, in that other, all the adharma that he did? Was he not very skillful? Shakuni, was he not very skillful in all those acts of adharma that were carried out against the Pandavas? Does it mean that they were karma yogis? No. The thing is that whatever action I do, that action is my swadharma, done with dharma in mind, done with offering that, the attitude of offering that action to Ishvara, and then doing that action to the best of my ability in given limited situations of knowledge and power. Limited knowledge and limited power that I have. What do I have? Some past experiences, some past vasanas, some present facts that I know. Beyond this, what kind of other data I have to execute an action skillfully? In that available thing, I execute an action and do it as my swadharma to the best of my ability and without having any sangha to the action, as it is I who am doing this action. It is my action without that sangha. This is for you, Ishvara. With my limited capacity, I have done this to the best of my ability. I am giving it to you. You deal with it the way you have to. You give me back whatever is meant. Yes, I have this particular desire in mind because of which I am doing this job. But then whatever this action deserves, you give it to me. This particular thing is called as Ishvara Arpana Buddhi Karmasu Kaushalam. And he says, a person who is a karma yogi is able to jahati iha ubhe sukrita dushkrute buddhi yuktaha. The one who is established, abiding in karma yoga and doing his karma with this kind of a kushalata or kaushalam, he is able to literally perform the karma without any kind of a judgment of sukrutam and dushkrutam. In the sense, he does not have any raga dveshas towards the action that he is performing. Maya idam kartavyam. Ishwararpana buddhya Maya idam swadharmam kartavyam. That is the attitude. That is karmasu kaushalam. And even as a karma yogi, he is able to a large extent, dilute all the raga dveshas towards the action that is performed. And at the level of the karma yoga itself, for a karma yogi mumukshu, abiding in karma yoga, if it can dilute and make him literally cast away ubhe sukrita dushkrite, this is what I should have done. I should not have done this. Why did I do this? What will I get out of this? No. Ubhe, both sukrita dushkrite. Well done, not well done. No, I have done it to the best of my ability. As a karma yogi, he is able to literally drop them. The raga dveshas, the tension, the anxiety of performing the action, he is able to drop them. And when the same karma yogi becomes a jnana yogya and follows the jnana yoga and then ultimately becomes a jnani, then ubhe sukrita dushkrute jahati iha becomes the natural svabhava of a jnani. But as a karma yogi, with the attitude of karma yoga, he is surrendering or dropping both sukruta, dushkruta, judgment of the action that he's doing. He is literally dropping it. And that means what? The raga dveshas are automatically getting diluted here, even at the stage of karma yoga for a mumukshu. And later, the same dropping of raga dveshas becomes a natural svabhava of a jnani. But at this time, as a karma yogi, this is something he has to voluntarily do with his free will. So, buddhi yuktaha, that is a karma yogi, jahati, gives up, iha, as he is doing this job, ubhe sukruta dushkrute. So he does what is to be done without any kind of raga dveshas or ahankara mamakara to the action that is being performed. Therefore, tasmat yogaya yujyasva. Arjuna, at present, you are not really ready for Atmajnanam, for this Jnanam. Right now, you're only ready for Karma Yoga, by which you are going to get Chitta Shuddhi, and over a period of time you are going to climb the ladder of the sadhana towards Jnana Yoga, and then you are going to free yourself. This is not the time for you to leave your swadharma of fighting this war and go away to the forest and live a life of a sannyasi. That is not meant for you. Now it is for you to fight this war. Therefore, tasmat yogaya yujyasva. May you commit yourself to this Karma Yoga and do your Swadharma with the commitment of Karma Yoga. So, Karma Sukaushalam is the second definition. So, ultimately, what is the definition of Karma Yoga? Yogaha Karma Sukaushalam, Yogaha Samatvam. Samatvam Yoga Uchate. Yoga is defined as Samatvam with respect to what? With respect to Karma Phala. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. Yoga is defined again, karma yoga is defined again as what? Karmasu kaushalam. That is the dexterity and the skillfulness in doing this action in the by the attitude of karma yoga. Now, Krishna wants to say that whatever that karma may be that you're doing, when you're doing it with an attitude of karma yoga, it becomes far superior to a karma performed by a mere karmi without the attitude of karma yoga. And that is what is going to be discussed in the 49th verse here. दूरेण ह्यवरं कर्म बुद्धियोगात् धनञ्जय बुद्धौ शरणमन्विच्छ कृपणाः फलहेतवः. What is the difference between an action done by a mere karmi and an action done by a person with a attitude of karma yoga? That is what Krishna is defining here. He says, Durena hi avaram karma. Mere karma without the attitude of karma yoga is far, far inferior. Avaram. Durena hi avaram. Far inferior to what? Buddhi yoga. It's far more inferior to the action done with the attitude of karma yoga. Why? The karmi's actions are out of swartha. The karmi's actions are purely sakama karmas. The karmi's actions are full of raga dveshas. The karmi accepts the results all the time with regret, with judgment, with sadness. The karmi always has the attachment to the karma as I am the karta, I am the doer, ahankara in the karma. This is my karma, mamakara in the karma, and ahankara, mamakara in the result also that is got. So, what is the karma that is done by a karmi? It never helps him in his spiritual growth. Mere karma without the attitude of karma yoga never becomes a sadhana for moksha. Whereas karma yoga, the same work done by a karma yogi becomes ragadvesha rahita karma. So, though there is an expectation of result, it almost becomes a nishkama karma. Third, Ishvara is involved in this karma with reverence, and there is, surrendering one's action to Ishvara. Ragadvesha are diluted. When the karma comes, there is no when the karma is executed, there is no ahankara mamakara in the karma. Minimized. Of course, initially it will be there. I mean, it's not that, it's like a jnani. Straight away, a karma yogi cannot buddhi jahati iha ubhe sukrita dushkrite. That is not possible immediately. Over a period of time, even a karma yogi will have the same attitude as what a jnana yogi has, which Krishna is going to describe later in the 5th chapter, where a jnana yogi has reached ultimately over a period of time. Achirena, even a karma yogi will also reach there. That is what Krishna is going to say later. These are not two different things which are leading to two different goals. A jnana yogi reaches the same end point, moksha, and the karma yogi also reaches the same end point, moksha, because the goal for both of them remains the same. Only the lifestyles are different because one is prepared for this knowledge, the other one, the karma yogi, is not prepared for this knowledge. Therefore, he says here, buddhi yogat avaram karma, because of all these things. And karma yoga is going to be a sadhana for chitta shuddhi, whereas pure karma done with all these things, how can it give me chitta shuddhi? It actually, worsens or it strengthens the ragadvesha. It strengthens the mala of the mind, rather than mala nivritti. It actually strengthens the mala. So therefore, Arjuna, buddhau sharanam anvicha, may you surrender your actions to this attitude of Karma Yoga. May you surrender yourself to this attitude of Karma Yoga. And you are not then phala hetavaha. You don't become a hetu for the phala. Ma karma phala hetur bhu, it was said in the previous verse. So you don't become a karma phala hetu. But then the karmi who's performing a karma without the attitude of karma yoga, he becomes what? A phala hetu. And a person who is a phala hetu, who feels, who thinks that he's responsible for the karma phala that he's getting, that he's fully in control of the karma phala that is going to accrue to him for his action, is a kripana. Kripana, he says. Kripana means a dina. He's a helpless fellow. He doesn't know what he's looking for. What is it? You, a karma yogi, has the strength of accepting the action, the phalam of your karma with the attitude of samatvam. Whereas this person, a karmi, who is absolutely entangled and attached to the karma phala, he's a kripana. Phala hetavaha kripanaha. The karmis are nothing but dina. There are miserable people. They are just, thinking that they are in charge of those karma phalas, which they are really not. They are kripanaha, they are dinaha, they are really pitiable people. Therefore, Arjuna, don't let yourself be a karmi. Whatever you're doing it with the attitude of karma yoga. And right now, your duty is to do your swadharma. Do it with the with the attitude of karma yoga, and that is going to ultimately take you to the shreyas which you asked me, in the 7th verse of the 2nd chapter. Whatever is shreya to me, please tell me what I have to do. Next, he says now in the 51st verse, he says, कर्मजं बुद्धियुक्ता हि फलं त्यक्त्वा मनीषिणः जन्मबन्धविनिर्मुक्ताः पदं गच्छन्त्यनामयम्. This is the phalam of karma yoga. That means a person who has followed or done all his actions, lived his life of performing every action as a karma yogi, what kind of a result does it give him? What is the phalam that is given by or achieved or accrued by a karma yogi? So he says here, karmajam phalam tyaktva. Karmajam phalam, the phalam which is brought about by karma, born out of karma. Karmajam phalam tyaktva buddhi yukta hi. Buddhi yukta means karma yoga buddhi yukta. Karma yoga means karma yoga buddhi. Yoga buddhi yukta hi. That means a person who has the proper attitude towards the performance of action. And what is that proper attitude? The attitude of karma yoga. Such a karma yogi, what happens to him? Karmajam phalam tyaktva. Automatically, the phalas brought about by the karma done, are not very strongly involved with him, because he accepts them not as my phalam. He does not accept that my karma's phalam, but as he receives it as Ishvara Prasada. There is the Viveka born out of this buddhi, that is Karma Yoga, which makes him prepared to receive the Atmajnanam, or the final, makes him a Jnana Yogya. He is a Jnana Yoga Yogya gets the Yogyata Prapti by Chitta Shuddhi. So he says, Karmajam Phalam Buddhi Yukta Hityaktva, okay, Manishinaha Janma Bandha Vinirmuktaha. All these Vivekis who have understood Aham Brahmasmi, all these Vivekis who have gone through the Jnana Yoga and attained their goal of moksha, they have followed this karma yoga, and because of that, they have been able to give up the karma phala as karma yogis. And now these vivekis, by svabhava, these jnanis, these vivekis, manishinaha, these are jnana yogis who are swabhavataya, they have given up the karma phala abhisandhi. Phalabhisandhi has been given up. Therefore, once the karma phalabhisandhi is given up, aham karta, aham bhokta iti kartritvam, bhoktitvam is given up by a viveki, manishinaha. Manishi means a viveki, a person with a viveka buddhi. What is this viveka buddhi? Viveka buddhi is this jnanam that I am not the doer, I am not the enjoyer. Such a person, what happens? Janma bandha vinirmukta. He is no longer coming back in the cycles of punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Here, this is not the phalam of karma yoga. Only what he's saying, Krishna is saying is this karma phala makes you jnana yogya. It gives you the jnana yogyata prapti. And once you enter the jnana yoga, you become the viveki. You are a manishi by which when this viveka of akartritvam, abhoktritvam, aham, asanga, atma, asmi, iti, when that knowledge, then that viveka is very, very clearly assimilated. Janma bandha vinirmuktaha. They are released from the cycles of birth and death, and padam gachanti anamayam. They reach that avyayam padam. Reach means what? Reach does not mean that this moksha is reaching somewhere. Moksha does not mean getting something. Moksha only means that I understand that I am akarta, abhokta, nitya, mukta, atma, aham asmi iti. This understanding itself is reaching the avyaya padam. What is avyaya? Atma is avyaya. Aham atma iti Atmani eva atmana tushtaha. Aham atma iti, the one who has clearly understood, clearly assimilated. It is said that he has avyayam padam gachanti. Gachanti means they go or they reach or they achieve, they attain. These are just words. There is nothing to be attained. There is nowhere to go. I am the very moksha swarupa. I have never been bound. There is no need for moksha from me. I am moksha swarupa. Till I understand this, that I am this avyaya pada, for which I was struggling for all these days. It is not somewhere outside. That avyayam padam is nothing but me. That is the viveka of a manishi. And for that to be understood, Arjuna, you have to go through this process of karma yoga. There is no other shortcut. So, how does this happen now? What is it that the Karma Yoga is going to do to give you this Jnana Yogyata Prapti? What is the meaning of this Chitta Shuddhi that we are talking about as the Phalam of Karma Yoga? That is what is going to be talked about in the next verse, in the 52nd verse. So, he says, Yada te moha kalilam buddhirvyatitarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam Shrotavyasya Shrutasya cha. Now he says that what do you mean by this Chitta Shuddhi? Moha Kalilam. Your buddhi right now is in a slush of moha. Kalilam, slush. Your buddhi right now is like a slush of moha. Therefore, your buddhi is not able to clearly think. That is why you are showing all these signs of raga, shoka, moha, rupi, samsara. That is the reason for all this Vishada you're showing. That's the reason why you say that I don't want to fight this war and I want to run away, and it is better to live on bhiksha than to kill my own people. You're talking about swajanas. You're not talking about not killing those swajanas. What you're talking is totally like a, you're talking like a prajnavadanshcha bhashase, he said in the second verse of this chapter itself. You're talking like a scholar, you're talking like a viveki, but Arjuna, you're full of confusion. You do not know what you're talking. But what happens when you're following this Karma Yoga? Yada te, okay? Yada buddhihi moha kalilam vyatitarishyati. The buddhi crosses or goes beyond its own confusion. Where is the confusion? In the buddhi. Where can the confusion go? The buddhi itself has to cross over this moha kalilam. So he says, when yada, when you follow this karma yoga, your buddhi, this buddhi is going to cross over, or it is going to go beyond the very confusion that is there in this, in that buddhi itself. Buddhi is going to, your intellect is going to cross or go beyond the confusion which is in itself. Vyatitarishyati, the intellect crosses over the confusion that is there in it, and Karma Yoga gives you a clarity of perception, a clarity of thinking when you follow this life of Karma Yoga. And this clarity of thinking, where the mind, the buddhi, is no longer confused by raga, dveshas, moha, shoka, when it is no longer confused, then your buddhi is capable of receiving this very, very subtle knowledge called as the Atmajnanam, which I gave you when, earlier between the 12th to the 25th verses of this very chapter. And when you are ready for this knowledge, what happens? Tada nirvedam gantasi, third line. Tada nirvedam gantasi. That means what? Then you clearly see that all these things that you're talking about are really not worthy of talking about, and you develop dispassion. Dispassion what? Dispassion towards the karma phalas. Dispassion towards, what you're, to shoka, you know, a shochan and shochastvam, he said, all your shoka is confusion, all your raga is confusion, all your moha is confusion. There is no clarity of thinking what you have to do. Confused person you are, your buddhi. And Karma Yoga helps your buddhi to cross over its own confusion, and the mind is clear and is able to develop dispassion, and you are able to execute your actions dispassionately, and you are able to receive the karma phala of your actions dispassionately. And then when you have this state of dispassion, when you are able to see clearly, the dispassion towards what? Shrotavyasya shrutasya cha. Shrutasya, you have heard of so many things that if I do this, this will come. If I don't do this, this will not happen. If I do this particular karma, this will come. Bahushakaha anantascha. We have seen that. Okay. There are so many things which you have heard about, that there are these means for these ends. There are these means for these ends. You have heard before. And shrutasya shrotavyasya. Shrutasya, that which you have already listened to. Shrotavyasya, that you are still going to listen in future. That means and ends, means and ends. Sadhana, sadhya. You do this, you will get this. Do this action, you will get this result. That kind of a whatever you have already heard. Shrutasya, what is given in the Veda Purvas. Shrotavyasya, that which are going to listen later also in future. You are going to develop a dispassion towards means and ends. What kind of ends? Limited ends, intermediate ends, intermediate goals, small, small, small goals for which you want to do so many actions. You will develop a vairagya towards them. See, a karma yogi also gets a lot of intermediate goals fulfilled. A sakama karma becomes a nishkama karma. Ragadveshas get diluted. Ahankara, mamakara gets diluted. Chitta Shuddhi happens. These are all intermediate goals. But the final goal is what? Abiding in Atma Swarupa, abiding in Moksha Swarupa. Padam Anamayam Gachanti Te. Who? These Manishinaha, which was talked about in the previous verse, in the 51st verse. So, Arjuna, you will develop a dispassion towards so many means and ends, sadhana sadhyas that have been given in Veda Purva, Shrutasya, that which has been heard. And maybe you do not know so many other means and ends which are possible, which you are likely to know in future. Shrotavyasya, Shrutasya cha, Nirvedam Gantasi. You will develop a sense of or an attitude of dispassion. See, we have a mantra in Mundakopanishad. Okay. Pariksha lokan karma chitan brahmano nirvedamayat nasti akrita kritena. So this is the meaning of that. So after having gone through all these means and ends, doing so many karmas and experiencing the karma phalas over lives and lives, seeing the ephemeral nature of the sadhanas and sadhyas, seeing that they are so unstable and they are so anitya, this person develops a vairagya towards them. Nirveda means vairagya. Nirveda mayat nasti akrita kritena. No amount of doing anything, no amount of sadhana sadhya is going to give me that akritam moksha, that which cannot be done. This kind of a dispassion towards Shrutasya means and ends, Shrotavyasya means and ends are going to get totally diluted. And your buddhi is not going to be confused by to be done means to be attained phalas or ends, because ultimately your final goal is there. That is your final goal, moksha. There may be so many intermediate things, but then you are not really distracted by the intermediate goals. So small goals which you achieve, no, because you have already developed Vairagya, Nirvedam, because you are a Karma Yogi. As a Karmi, every small intermediate means and ends is going to distract you, and then you're just going to get stuck at every stage. But Karma Yoga is ultimately going to help you to develop the attitude of dispassion or Vairagya towards those small intermediate goals which may be achieved, along the path of Karma Yoga. But then your focus is not on this. Your focus is on the main one. What is that? That is ultimately moksha. It is like a person who's going, to a particular place by a train. There may be 10 stations, 10 stops before he reaches his stop. He may get down for some time, buy something on the platform, walk on the platform, and come again when the train starts. But then he doesn't get down and go out at every station. Why? Because he knows that this is not where I have to get, or maybe I may get a few things, some peanuts or some biscuits or something I'll get from this platform and come up again. But then, where is his focus? That final end point where he has to literally alight from the train. Similarly, here also, a karma yogi has the same end point, the same goal that a jnana yogi has got. And as a karma yogi, there may be many, many, many small means and sadhana sadhyas that come his way, but he's not waylaid by them. He's not distracted by them. Because as a karma yogi, sukrute, dushkrute, ubhe iha jahati, he is not distracted by those small ends or small goals which have been fulfilled on the way. His main focus is on that final moksha, and therefore he says that you are never distracted. This is the phalam of karma yoga, and this is the first jump, or the first jump from karma yoga towards jnana yoga. Karma yoga, what is this chitta shuddhi? The first jump is chitta shuddhi. Chitta shuddhi is what? Moha kalilam, the buddhi crosses over, and the buddhi starts getting a dispassion towards the goals, towards the means which are temporary, which are here and there. the buddhi does not get caught in them. The buddhi is able to focus itself on that final endpoint. So, this is the first jump of a karma yogi towards jnanam, towards that final stage of moksha. This is the first step or first jump. So, he has been in karma yoga, and suddenly there is a jump because of the attitude of karma yoga. And this jump is a very, very transformative jump. It is not something which is a very small jump. He's really gone to the stage where he is capable of receiving this subtle knowledge of the Vedas, which says that you are not this limited anatma body mind sense complex, but you are that limitless whole. You are that limitless Purnatva Swarupi Atmatvam Asi iti. That vision of the Vedas, now the mind, the intellect is capable of at least fathoming. It is able to introduce itself, it is able to expose itself to the vision and go through the next process of Jnana Yoga. And that will be the second jump that will be talked about in the next verse, which is called as Shruti Vipratipannate, and that we will take up in the next class. That is the second jump of a karma yogi, where he gets into jnana yoga, gets the jnana, and then he becomes a sthita prajna. That's why what is the sthita prajna is asked after the 53rd verse by Arjuna. So we have seen the advantage or the growth of a karma yogi from a karmi to a karma yogi to a jnana yogya and then to jnanam. So with this, we will complete today's session, and next time we'll go to the what is this the second jump or the final jump of a karma yogi, and then he becomes or he's a sthita prajna, and what is the swarupam of sthita prajna. नन्दन्तु साधका सर्वे विनश्यन्तु विदूषकाः अवस्थाशाम्भवी मेस्तु प्रसन्नोऽस्तु गुरुः सदा सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय.